My nephew is my son, and things twisted badly. I've been in love with Amy, my sister-in-law, ever since I met her. She was dating my brother Matt back then, and now they've been married for 5 years. I think she knows how I feel. I've never actually told her, but I'm sure she knows. Amy's always been kind to me, but because she's with Matt, I keep things respectful. Still, there's no denying that she knows how I feel. 3 years ago, we all went on a vacation to the Caribbean. Some island, I can't even remember the name. It was a family trip with a few friends. One night, I got drunk and Amy helped me back to my room. That night, we slept together. She didn't stay long. Right after we finished, she left so Matt wouldn't find out. Ever since then, she's acted like it never happened. And I get it. She's still married to my brother. But not long after that, Amy announced she was pregnant. She even mentioned that the baby was conceived during that vacation. I'm sure her son is mine. When my nephew Kyle was born, I could see it. He has the same eyes as me, the same face shape, and Amy knows. I've given her hints that I know too, like when I hold Kyle and say, "He sure looks like his dad." She always responds, "Yeah, he does." I'm sure that's Amy's way of admitting Kyle is my son. He's 2 now, and I shower him with gifts and attention every chance I get. Even though he doesn't know the truth, he deserves a father's love. A few days ago, we had a family dinner, and Matt and Amy announced that they might move back to her home country. Amy's been offered a great job there, and Matt's looking for work in his field too. They haven't decided yet, but it sounds like they're leaning toward going. Something in me snapped. The thought of her leaving and taking my son with her was too much. I blurted out, "You can't leave and take my son with you." Everyone stared at me, and then they started laughing, thinking it was some kind of joke. But I got mad and shouted, "You're not taking my son." That's when they realized I was serious. Amy looked at me, confused. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "You know Kyle is mine," I said. "I know Matt wasn't supposed to find out, but I'm not letting you take my son away from me." Everyone just stared, stunned. Their eyes shifted between me and Amy. She looked frozen, like she couldn't believe what I was saying. So I kept going. "I know he's mine. You even admitted it. You said Kyle was conceived on that island we went to, remember? We slept together. So I know he's mine." It felt like forever before Amy finally spoke. When she did, she was furious. "How dare you," she said. "Kyle is Matt's son. Matt is my husband. He's the only man I've been with. And even if he weren't, you would never be the father of my child." I couldn't believe the anger coming from her. I guess I deserved it for exposing what we did, but it still hurt hearing her say that. She left me no choice, though. I'm not losing my son. That day ended badly. Matt yelled at me and even punched me. My parents were furious and told me to leave. So I did. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm not giving up on my son. I heard Jack's been staying at our parents' place. This seemed like the perfect time to talk to Amy. I know yesterday wasn't supposed to go down like that, but I just couldn't let her leave with my son. So I went to her house to talk about Kyle, about us. But that didn't go the way I hoped. She wouldn't even open the door and kept yelling at me to leave. I don't understand it. It was just the two of us. We could have been honest for once and talked about our son. We don't need to keep up this charade anymore. We could finally be open about our future together. But instead, she's locking me out, screaming at me. Why? Why is she threatening to call the police? Through the door, she yelled that I ruined her marriage. But her marriage doesn't count. Not if she was meant to be with me. Her being with Matt was always going to be temporary. I know she knows that. She's supposed to be with me. That's why we had Kyle. I get that she cares about Matt and doesn't want to hurt him too badly, but you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Matt's a good egg. I left before she could call the cops, but I tried calling and texting her afterward. I'm blocked. I think she's taking this act way too far. How are we going to be together if she keeps me away from her and our child? Now's the time to get our plans back on track. She should understand that now that everything's out in the open, she can drop the act. Matt and our parents will have to accept that she and I are meant to be together. Our future is clear. Matt called me later, yelling at me to stay away from his wife. I think he's starting to realize that soon she'll be my wife, and he's trying to hold on as long as he can. I don't blame him. She's perfect. But it's time for Amy and me to finally be together. I've been patient, staying on the sidelines out of respect for him. But now it's time for me to take my rightful place as Amy's husband. Matt's had his time with her, and he should be grateful for it. But he needs to understand that was always temporary. Now it's my turn to be with Amy. There was at least one good thing about today. I bought some toys for Kyle and a pair of beautiful earrings for Amy that I saw in a shop window. I can start treating her like the queen she is, now that we both know she'll soon be mine. The DNA test results. Matt sent me the results of a DNA test. It says he's Kyle's father. I'm sure that was a shock to Amy too. And honestly, I don't even know if I trust those results. They never asked me to submit anything for the test. Maybe because Matt and I are brothers, the results got mixed up? So how can they be so sure Kyle isn't mine? This doesn't change how I feel about Amy. If anything, it just means that Matt will always have some role in our lives because he's Kyle's biological father. But I still believe Amy and I can have our happily ever after, even with Matt in the background. He just needs to do the honorable thing and step aside. He has to understand that his time with her is over. This is the end of her and Matt. So even if Kyle isn't biologically mine, I'll raise him like he is. Matt will have to figure out how to be part of Kyle's life with me as Kyle's loving stepdad. I still see a bright future for all of us. It's frustrating that Matt refuses to let go. I know Amy's just trying to let him down easy, but I've been patient long enough. It's time for her to rip off the Band-Aid and leave him for me. I've driven past their house a few times, but Matt's always there or no one's home. It's starting to test my patience. Amy needs to break up with him. She needs to end this for good. It's our time, and Matt is only getting in the way. She needs to unblock me so we can talk, so we can make our plans. And if Matt's forcing her to stay, I have to be there to protect her. He can't stand in the way of our future together. Amy's perspective. My brother-in-law is destroying my marriage. I don't understand how we got here. A few days ago, I had a perfect marriage, and now my husband is staying at his parents' house. All because of his delusional brother. You choose your husband, not his family. If I could, I'd never have chosen Andrew as my brother-in-law. I've always known Andrew had a thing for me, but I kept him at a polite distance. He's my husband's brother after all. If he weren't, I'd have put a lot more distance between us. Matt and I have been married for 5 years, and we have a 2-year-old son, Kyle. He looks just like his dad. Our life was perfect, and it seemed like it was about to get even better, until everything fell apart. A few weeks ago, I was contacted by a major company in Ireland, my home country. My high school best friend is stepping down from her job due to a disability. She lost her leg below the knee in a car accident last year and tried to keep working, but it became too much for her. The company didn't want to let her go at first, so they let her work from home. But in her position, she needed to travel and meet clients often. So they reached a compromise. She would stay on as an external consultant and recommend her replacement. She put me at the top of her list as her replacement. It's a fantastic opportunity for our family, but of course I didn't commit to anything without talking to Matt. He loved the idea, but doesn't want to be a stay-at-home dad, so he started looking for work in his field over there. We were exploring our options before making any decisions. Naturally, we wanted to share this news with Matt's family. That's when everything went to hell. We told everyone about our plans, and out of nowhere, Andrew claimed I couldn't take his son. Somehow, he's convinced himself that Kyle is his child. I have no idea how he got that in his head. After he and Matt yelled at each other, Andrew said that he and I had slept together during our family vacation in Barbados. It's true that Kyle was conceived on that trip, but I never slept with Andrew. Asterisk not then, not ever star. I was with Matt every night. Kyle is Matt's son. I'd stake my life on it. I kept telling Andrew that we never slept together, and there's no way Kyle could be his. But he's convinced that Kyle is his, and he actually thinks I've been dropping hints about it. I have no idea where he's getting this from. Even if Matt weren't in my life, I'd never sleep with Andrew. Matt punched Andrew, and their parents told Andrew to leave. Matt was livid, and so was I. We went home, and that's when Matt started asking me questions. I thought he believed me, but the more he asked, the more I could feel the doubt creeping in. I told him I was telling the truth. I've never slept with Andrew, and I wouldn't even if I were single. I don't like Andrew, never have, never will. He creeps me out. Then Matt broke my heart. He told me he wants a paternity test because he doesn't know what to believe anymore. I told him how much it hurt me that he was even asking for this. But if it's the only way to solve this mess, I'll give him what he wants. Kyle is his son. I always thought he knew that. Asking for a paternity test is painful, but I agreed. If that's what it takes, then fine. But as if that wasn't enough, Matt packed his bags and said he was going to stay with his parents for a few days. I couldn't even respond. I just cried. Andrew is destroying my marriage. I want my husband back. I'm afraid here alone. Yesterday, Andrew came by, but I didn't let him in. Luckily, Kyle was with my friend, his godmother, who takes him for a day every so often. Andrew wanted to talk, but I was home alone, and I don't want him anywhere near me. Andrew is ruining my marriage. I always kept him at a distance. Why does he think we had anything? Why would he ever believe I would sleep with him? I love Matt. I've always loved only Matt. Andrew has always been just his brother, the one who creeped me out. Andrew only went away after I threatened to call the police. I called Matt, begging him to come back home. I told him about Andrew coming by, how I didn't open the door, but how scared I am. I'm afraid here alone with Kyle. I even told Matt I'd move to the guest room if he needed space. Just please don't leave me alone. Matt was home within minutes. As soon as he walked in, I threw myself into his arms, crying and refusing to let go. I think that's when he realized just how much Andrew frightened me. Even with everything going on, we still love each other. I forgive Matt for asking for the paternity test. I'll still do it. I forgive him for leaving, but he came back when I needed him. I tried to stop him, but Matt called Andrew and yelled at him to leave me alone. After Matt calmed down, we sat down and talked about Andrew. I told him why I've always been creeped out by Andrew. He's always looked at me in this weird way. Up until the dinner, he never crossed any real lines, but he was always hanging around me at family events. Matt admitted he noticed Andrew's behavior, but didn't realize I was uncomfortable. He thought it was just Andrew being Andrew. I told him I'm cutting Andrew out of my life forever. If that means I miss family events because Andrew is there, so be it. The only thing I want to send him is the paternity test result. Maybe that will wake him up from his delusion. Matt took a moment and said he understood, and while he's leaning toward cutting Andrew off too, Andrew is still his brother, and he feels he has to try to reason with him first. True to my word, I offered to move to the guest room, but Matt asked me to stay. It felt safe falling asleep in his arms.